allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Ms. Salcha? Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Bahrain?
For the record, Ms. Salchow is excused. And then, members of the board, just to kind of refresh your memory on the schedule, we're going to have a public hearing on the budget at 2:30, and then we'll come back into the regular meeting. And somewhere on the agenda, I believe it's the last item on the agenda, then we will formally adopt the budget. All right? We do have somebody who wants to address the board, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have the distinguished Mr. Gilbert Rojas, and he wants to discuss the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District number 27. Mr. Rojas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bahrain, members of the board, Superintendent Mrs. Samaniego, and community. We are beyond grateful for your approval for the reconstruction of our DECA store, as it gives us the opportunity to further develop the future of DECA. Expanding the store will allow students to have a deeper aspect of the principles of store management and operations.
It will allow us to include new items, offering Bulldog merchandise for Douglas residents to purchase, and continue supporting the sports events in Douglas. We would like to extend our gratitude to Bird's Construction and Douglas Electrical Services for their contribution to reconstructing our store at the Douglas High School. With appreciation, Douglas DECA members. Thank you.
Do you mind, each one of you, please, would you identify yourself for the record, your name and...
I am Adamaris Bird.
And I'm Carolina Badia.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Action item 2, we don't have anybody else other than Mr. Rosa.
No, sir.
Action item 2A, discussion action on the approval of certified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, one teacher and some emergency sub-teachers and substitute teacher for the following school year.
Get a motion on the floor.
I move to approve the certified hires.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Anything you want to add? Members of the board, any
I
further
just want
discussion?
to ask, Anna, you use quite a few emergency secretaries on?
Emergency substitute teachers just become part of our sub-list that gets called, for a day here, a day there when teachers are absent. So we want to build a healthy list of subs to call.
Okay.
Mr.
If I may mention that I did read in the Star a couple of weeks ago that the Tucson schools were increasing the wages for substitute teachers. At some point, maybe I think we should look at that.
We did, was it two years ago, Mr. Soto? But every time that the minimum wage goes up, we need to be looking at that and definitely something on my books.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes, item B, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, you have all the background information for the different positions there. We are hoping that we fill the very important position of the grants coordinator there.
Okay, and you had backup information on
it's
that
all there.
individual, which
Yes.
was good. Entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Members of the board, any discussion? Administration, anything you want to add? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of classified retirement. Ms. Samaniego.
We have custodian Juan Montaño submitting his retirement for the end of next school year.
Mr. Lindemann.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Members of the board, any discussion? Administration?
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bahrain?
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of certified administrative transfer. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, board, you all know that we have a vacancy in the athletic director position at Douglas High School, a very much needed position, an important position. Ms. Maria Trinta is the existing and RBMS assistant principal right now, and she is being recommended to be transferred over to that position. I gave you extensive background on Mrs. Trinta's background. An important part of this recommendation is that Mrs. Trinta is one of the 9 candidates that the board approved for the Impact Grant Scholarship as part of our Grow Your Own Principal certification. If you'll recall, we were struggling not only to hire teachers, but administrators who were willing to come down and do the job of a principal. And so because of the need, we developed our own, you supported my vision with the Impact Grant. And now we have 9 candidates that potentially could go into an administrative position. So that is key. And my recommendation is to transfer Maria Trinta.
Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve the certified administrative transfer.
is there a second?
Second.
Members of the board, any discussion? Mr. Smith?
No.
No? Mr. Lindeman?
No, thank you very much.
Ms. Ramos? I think it's key you mentioned that this is all part of that program that you started. Let me just quickly ask, she's coming from RBMS, so will you be looking, and not to jump the gun, so to speak,
Yes.
but will you be looking at somebody else from that program?
Yes, to fulfill that vacancy. I
Okay,
will work on that.
all right, let's roll call. Let's,
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
yes. you
So
want to
before we
introduce
go on, yes, at this time, if I have any certified hires here, any teachers, or you can come up to the podium, introduce your name and where you're going to be at, so we can welcome you.
Good afternoon. Eddie Dees, Dallas, Texas. I'll be working art teacher at Ray Brain Middle School, and I'm very proud to be here.
Well, thank you for that. That's wonderful.
This is Mr. Ray Borrain.
Yes,
No, I'm just kidding. Of course, you're going to be, what are you going to be teaching?
Art.
art.
Oh, art, okay. All right, great.
Well, welcome.
Oh,
Right,
thank you.
Thank you very
Glad to
much.
have you.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you. Have a blessed
Thank
day.
you.
Great.
And now at this time, if we have any classified hires in the audience, we have Marco Buelna, our future grants coordinator.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. So my name is Marco Buelna, and I'll be your grants coordinator here. I just wanted to share my utmost appreciation for this opportunity. Growing up here in Douglas since I was in preschool, coming back here and giving back to the community is a great opportunity for me. So this position especially, I'm very grateful for it, and I appreciate everything.
Well, okay, welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I just want to say thank you and welcome.
Oh, okay. That's a big job, and you're up for it, and obviously, by your remarks. And the administration has a lot of confidence that you'll do well there, so
Thank you.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
It's a very important job, as you all know, right? You get a
Yes.
lot of help, I'm sure, from the business department. and
I'll do my
everything.
best. Yes.
So, good to see you. Members of the board, any
No, we
comments?
just want to welcome you, and just as Mr. Murray said, the position is a very critical position. And just want to wish you the best and do the best you can.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else you want to?
And then Ms. Trinta?
Okay.
Good afternoon, members of the board, Mrs. Amaniego and Mr. Sokoto. I want to thank you for this opportunity. It's an honor for me to be the new athletic director for DUSD.
Congratulations, and Mr. Wetton from the Sierra Vista Herald wants to speak to you whenever you get a few minutes. I don't know if you already told her. So he's way ahead of me. That's why he's such a professional, right? So, welcome.
Thank you.
And that is it.
Okay. Item E?
Wait, one more. Oh, one more? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, board meeting. I'm Sergio Rivera. I am one of your emergency substitutes, and I appreciate the honor to work with you and your students, as I also grew up here in Douglas and want to give back to the community.
Well, welcome. We look forward to seeing you.
Well,
Members of the board?
No, just like-
Any afterthoughts regarding any of the new hires?
no, but,
I don't mean afterthoughts about the vote, I mean about saying something.
Hey,
as-
Mr. Morane's worried because you guys keep getting younger and younger.
Yes, Mr. Moraine.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't talk. No, welcome, everybody, and we're going to move right along because we have to get to this budget hearing at 2:30. We have plenty of time. So let's move to item E, discussion information only for certified and classified internal transfers for school year 2024-25. Ms. Samaniego.
And this is just, again, for information purposes only, so we know where our employees are going. So we have a preschool teacher from Sarah Marley over to the Stevenson kinder teacher position, and Ana Villalobos ESS instructional aide from the preschool to Clausen preschool.
Members of the board, do you have any questions or comments regarding that? Item F, discussion, action on the approval of athletic addendums for Douglas High School. Ms. Samaniego.
Board, normally we present all of our athletic addendums in one chunk, either in July or early August. But because we're going to be discussing all athletic positions and various other topics within the athletics department, I'm only bringing forth the fall sports because those sports are going to be starting very soon. So the following sports are all fall, and it's either the head coach and their assistants being presented for
Mr.
the
Lennon?
addendum.
I move to approve the athletic addendums for DHS.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith, any members of the board, any discussion regarding that? And of course, as she well explained, that we're going to be thoroughly discussing you're going to get a complete overview
Yes,
of the
of the-
athletic program. So any further discussion or questions?
I just have one quick question, if I may. I know this doesn't include the volunteers, but
Mhm.
they have to be approved also.
Yes, and we bring them for approval yearly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, any further discussion? Anything else you want to add?
No, not at this point.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes,
Mr. Boreen?
Yes, item G, discussion action on the approval of student observers. Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, and these are for their education classes for the fall.
Mr. Lindemann,
I move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Further discussion?
No.
Anything you want to
No.
clarify regarding that? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
yes,
Mr. Boreen?
Yes, item H, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District number 27. And these are significant, so Ms.
Yes.
Samaniego, I'm going to let you take a little bit of time
Okay.
to go through that.
So we have two donations in terms of labor and materials for DHS, for the purpose of the DHS DECA remodel from Bird's Construction, estimated value of $8,000. And a second one, donation of electrical service, hardware, and labor for the purpose of the DECA store remodel from Douglas Electric Services, an estimated value of $6,500. This relates to the public comment, and this was brought forth by the DECA students themselves to Mr. Young about the possibility of this donation to expand and remodel the DECA. I think what brought this donation forth was when our students traveled to DECA competitions, they got to experience what other high schools' DECA stores are able to do and what functions the students are able to learn through the DECA store. And so the DECA store is not just a DECA store, but it's their lab for their class. And so the DECA store, we have students that actually should be working, doing inventory, learning how to order, budgeting, and so forth. And so when the students came back from one of their competitions, they presented this idea, and they have some local community partners that are willing to donate material and labor. And that's what we're presenting today.
For discussion, Mr. Lindemann,
I move to approve the donations.
is there a second?
second,
When is all of this going to take place, Mr. Soto?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, the goal is for this to start right away and hopefully have it ready before school starts. I know it's going to be, very, very tight, but hopefully they can start working right away. We did all the homework. We contacted the trust. Of course, they say once that's finished, we need to add that additional square footage for insurance purposes, and same with the school facilities board, since this is considered an actual classroom, and it's an increase of instructional square footage. So once that happens, we need to notify the school facilities board the increase of square footage.
Members of the board, any questions? Mr. Lynn?
I just have,
Yeah, what exactly then, they're just gonna make it bigger to?
Right, yeah, they're gonna expand. If you remember, right next to Deca, behind Deca store, there's a concrete slab already with, which they're just basically gonna close that and extend that
Yeah, okay.
as part of Deca store.
Because that was done, that slab was done with that intended purpose that
Correct.
we were going
Many
to
years
expand
ago.
many years ago, apparently. So it's just enclosing that, where the concrete's already there, putting some walls up, moving some of the existing furniture in, reorganizing the inside
Correct.
of the store, and that's
Yep.
mainly
But
what.
the 8,000 that, well, the donations, they're not gonna cover all the cost, or is it gonna cover?
The purpose is for them to, the majority of it, the only thing that the USD is gonna be responsible for is the flooring, to finish up, either extend it for now or something like that, but it will be the flooring and the
Yeah,
paint.
That's great.
Right.
Mr. Lynn?
that's, in a nutshell, my question. It doesn't have anything to do with the expansion in the new construction.
No.
This was at the first wing of the high school.
In the existing Deca store,
Okay,
right?
thank you.
Since Mr. Ramos has that question about anything, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, did you have?
No, actually, no. My questions were already answered, so.
Okay, I'm sorry. Because he did ask that about any additional costs, that would be CPE, right? Would it come?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So that, the board needs to know that that's not going to cost the district anything
se.
per se.
Correct. The additional, the paint and the flooring is gonna come out of the JTED budget. Correct.
Which you have the money.
Right.
Okay.
Any further discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Boreen?
Yes, and we thoroughly, of course, I know you will thoroughly appreciate Bird Construction and Douglas Electrical for their services and that, a donation of that magnitude. Item I, discussion action on the approval of amendment of sole source provider for fiscal year 2024, 25, Mr. Soto.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is another amendment to the sole source, and if you remember, I think it was in the previous meeting, we did an amendment to Tyler Visions because we added an additional services. Same thing with Power School, and I believe, Mrs. Amanego, on the next item, we're going to be talking about the evaluation. So Power
Yes.
School now is going to host another
data.
feature for evaluation, teacher evaluation. So we just needed to change the wording on the sole source document, and that's all it is.
Mr.
I
Lindemann.
move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Further discussion, members of the board? Mr.
Is there
Lindemann.
an increased cost?
Correct. I mean, we're adding services, so the cost, it will roughly be 15 to 17,000 per year.
And what was our original cost?
For Power School, it was 61,000. Remember, Power School is
Mhm,
says software for students, and it's
So this is
Great
17
attendance.
more?
exact.
Okay. thank
Correct.
you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Boreen?
Yes, item J, discussion action on the approval of designating the updated 2022 Danielson framework for teaching as the official DUSD certified teacher evaluation instrument. Ms. Samaniego.
Just a little background. I gave you extensive background, lots of information on the Danielson. The Danielson tool, evaluation tool, is our existing evaluation tool. And, you know, those of us that have taught have probably been evaluated that way. That's what our administrators use. However, it was a little outdated. And so this year, we brought ADE to do a training on qualified evaluator training for our principals. And through their discussion and training and demonstrating the tool that we were using, it was their recommendation that we probably need to look at the more modern version and updated version, which is the 2022. So that's all it's doing. And I wanted to give you extensive information because when we looked previously, at the board minutes of when the Danielson framework was ever adopted, there was very little information that we found. So I told Alma, we are going to heavy load information so that when we're not here and somebody, it's 2035, 2045, whatever, they know the framework, the domains, the documents, and it's all in our board minutes. So it's just updating our current evaluation tool.
Get a motion, Mr. Lemon.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. I believe that was something that you had asked
Uh-huh.
about a while back. Mr.
Yes.
Lemon.
Yes.
And do you have, and as
I
she
have, I
mentioned-
have at least one more question on this. I noticed in the previous item, you said in the Power School, it had a teacher evaluation portion that was being added to it. Is that teacher evaluation portion going to be factored into this in any way?
Yeah, so let me explain what we've been wanting to do, and after that conversation, and yes, Mr. Smith, talked about evaluation, and so this new version requires some training first and foremost. So all of us administrators are going to receive training next Thursday from the Danielson group. Then the first day when teachers get back, they have a full day of training as well for the new domains, the new evaluation tool. Why we needed to update our sole source Power School is we are now in 2024 and we are still using paper evaluations. And so what Power School does, and Power School is this big server, right, where we host all of our SACE. Through Power School now, we will be able to utilize that as our software system that's going to hold all of our documents for teacher evaluation purposes. And so that's going to host it. No longer will we have to be making copies of evaluation tools, sending them to HR, then there's one missing. It's all scores are going to be inputted and hosted, and the data collection piece will be through Power School. So that's why it's important to have that.
It's good, good. I looked over
Yes.
on the paperwork you provided. I was impressed with the
Yeah.
criteria, the elements of the evaluations and
Yes.
everything else. So I think it's a very good move.
Yep. I
Any further
agree.
discussion, Mr. Lindemann? Mr. Ramos? Anything you want to add?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Boreen?
Yes, item K, discussion information on the new policy regulation GBEB-RB staff conduct in the workplace bullying. Ms.
Yes.
Samaniego.
And so this came from, we didn't have this policy or a regulation, and so that, the reason you're not voting on it is because it's a regulation. We're just adding it to our policy that's already existing under the workplace bullying, but we didn't have something that's specific, and after speaking to Jessica and Mrs. Cox attending one of her HR conferences, this was highly recommended, so that's why I'm bringing it now. It'll be part of our staff handbook.
That's for information only?
Yes. Mhm.
Item L, that's the one to adopt the budget, so here's what I want to do. We're going to entertain a motion to adjourn, and then we will have a 5-minute recess. It should be right at 2:30, and we will have the public hearing on the budget. Then we will come back and do item L.
Move to
Yeah.
adjourn.
To adjourn. Second,
Second.
by Mr. Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now is the actual adoption. Nothing has changed on the budget. And quick overview, like I said, we built this budget on 3,477.87 weighted students. We got the increase from the state of 2% for inflation to increase the base level funding per student. What else? We included, like I said before, like I said at the previous meeting, a transfer from capital to support the board-approved salary increases to both certified and classified. And again, as a reminder, the transfer is there now, but once we have a revision, because there's still some monies pending coming from the state that I'm hoping, I mean, that's going to help on that transfer, because when we do the revision, if we don't need that much money, we're going to revert it back or take some of that money back for capital purchases. Another thing I mentioned before is the tax rate. The tax rate, as you know, the county is going to approve that until August 15. We were still looking at the projection of that tax rate, but it looks good. It looks like we're going to decrease the tax rate for this coming year, but once we have the board meeting in September, then we're gonna, I'll let you know what the final tax rate will be. And that's about it. I don't know if you have any questions.
No questions by the board. It's a public hearing.
The public.
Do we have anybody that wants to address the
sir.
board? We're going to wait for about 3 or 4 minutes, see if anybody's interested. I hate to say it, it's typical that public hearings that hardly anybody ever attends. Many years in other places, people just don't attend them unless there's something
Right.
specifically on there. But we will, in the cities, the same way, hardly anybody ever showed up for the public hearing. But we're here, and we're open to any questions or any concerns anybody may have, any member of the public regarding the budget, and then you can address it, and then the board will decide if there's something that you want to eliminate or add, then we'll do it at this time. So we'll go about 5 minutes.
Fine.
3 to 5. See what we get. We've given it enough time. Anybody had an opportunity to address the board? I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I move to adjourn the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we're out of recess and we're back to the open meeting, and we're on item L, and that's discussion, action to adopt the district annual expenditure budget for fiscal year 2024-25. Again, entertain a motion to approve.
I move to adopt the district annual expenditure budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Members of the board, any discussion? Now's the time to ask questions. Did you have a question, Mr.
No.
Smith? Any question, any clarifications, anything you want to clarify, Ms. Samaniego?
No, I think what's important, what Mr. Soto said, that when we did have to transfer the capital money over to do salaries, we're looking forward to additional money so that transfer would actually, we could give money back to the capital line items and budget if we get more money.
Correct. And that also depends on the carryover, if they
Yeah,
go
but
carryover.
You know what you're talking about, and he does, and I do, but maybe the board, just for refreshing, the transfer you made, you need to explain what the transfer was for. Do you remember?
Right,
Yes.
right, and that's what I mentioned, it's
The
for the salaries, the increase for certified and classified, that it's to cover that. But again, like I said, depending on the additional monies we get from the state and the final carryover we get, that number will be, get lower. But once we get a budget revision, normally is in October, September, October, then we'll revise that and let you know about the amount.
Okay, members of the board, any further discussion?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrell?
Yes. Members of the board, thanks for being here again. Going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to
the
adjourn.
regular meeting now. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith, all those in favor?
Aye.